seekers, to another chapter in our exploration of the unexplained. I'm Mr. W, and tonight we venture into one of the most perplexing and persistent hotspots of high strangeness ever documented. A place so steeped in anomalies that even hardened skeptics have walked away with more questions than answers. A place known as Skinwalker Ranch. Nestled in the remote Uinta Basin of northeastern Utah, Skinwalker Ranch spans over 500 acres of rugged land, quiet and unassuming at first glance. But beneath the dusty earth and sagebrush lies a story that stretches back centuries. One of curses, creatures, UFOs, portals, and things that defy the laws of our known universe. If there is any location that exemplifies a breach in the fabric of our reality, it is here. To understand the enigma of Skinwalker Ranch, we must begin with its name. The term Skinwalker comes from Navajo legend. In their lore, a skinwalker is a malevolent shapeshifter, a witch capable of transforming into animals, often wolves or coyotes. These beings are feared, not only for their supernatural powers, but for the darkness they represent. The Navajo consider them taboo, rarely speaking of them. Interestingly, the Navajo historically refused to settle in the Uinta Basin, believing it was cursed after a war with the neighboring Ute tribe. The Utes, they claimed, had allied themselves with skinwalkers, and this land, they said, had become tainted by their presence. Fast forward to the 20th century. In 1994, a family by the name of Sherman purchased the ranch, hoping to enjoy a peaceful life raising cattle. But almost immediately, their dreams were shattered by an avalanche of terrifying and inexplicable experiences. These weren't isolated incidents, they were relentless. The Shermans began to document encounters so strange, so varied, that they bordered on the unbelievable. It started with an encounter with a massive wolf on the day they moved in. The creature was unnaturally large, at least 3 times the size of a normal wolf, but calm and unthreatening at first. It even allowed the family to pet it. But then, in an instant, it lunged at a calf and tried to drag it through the fence. Tom Sherman shot it multiple times with his rifle. The bullets seemed to have no effect. Even when he fetched a more powerful weapon and fired at close range, the creature calmly walked away, leaving behind chunks of flesh with no blood, a detail often reported in other cryptid encounters. That was only the beginning. The Shermans reported floating orbs, some blue, some orange, that seemed intelligent, reacting to their movements and even stalking them. One of these orbs reportedly caused the death of 3 of their dogs. The animals chased the orb into the brush. When the Shermans followed, all they found were 3 circular patches of scorched earth and a terrible smell. The dogs were never seen again. Then came the cattle mutilations. Several of the Shermans' prized animals were found dead under impossible circumstances. One cow was found with all its blood drained. No tracks, no struggle, no explanation. Another had its ear removed with surgical precision, the cuts so clean they seemed done with a laser. One particularly disturbing case involved a cow found dismembered within minutes of being left alone. The Shermans had just tagged the animal and left briefly, only to return and find it in pieces, with no blood, no signs of predators, and no tracks, not even their own. But the phenomena weren't limited to livestock. The family witnessed unidentified flying objects hovering silently over the ranch, beings peering through windows, and even invisible forces slamming doors and moving heavy equipment. One night, Tom Sherman saw a humanoid creature perched in a tree with glowing yellow eyes. When he shot at it, the being fell to the ground, but when he reached the spot, it had vanished, leaving behind deep claw marks and tracks that suddenly stopped in the middle of the field. Eventually, the family had enough. They were being hunted, stalked by something they could not name or understand. In 1996, they sold the ranch to Robert Bigelow, a wealthy entrepreneur and founder of the National Institute for Discovery Science, NIDS. Bigelow had one goal: to scientifically investigate the phenomena. Under Bigelow's ownership, a team of scientists, physicists, and military-trained observers descended upon the ranch. They set up surveillance equipment, cameras, and observation posts. But they quickly encountered a frustrating paradox. Whatever was happening at the ranch seemed to evade detection on purpose. Cameras would fail, batteries would drain, instruments would malfunction at critical moments. It was almost as if the phenomenon was aware of being watched and actively avoided it. Still, the team recorded many strange events. One night, a scientist witnessed a portal opening in midair, revealing a glowing tunnel through which a large black, humanoid figure crawled out, then ran off into the darkness. They captured high levels of electromagnetic activity in areas where nothing visible was occurring. Shadowy figures were reported. Voices were heard in the air, speaking in an unknown language. And always, the orbs returned, glowing, zipping through the sky, sometimes entering the ground or passing through objects. The NIDS team published little, and eventually Bigelow ceased operations. But the legend of Skinwalker Ranch only grew. In 2016, the ranch was quietly sold to an undisclosed buyer who would later be revealed as Brandon Fugel, a real estate mogul with a deep interest in fringe science. Fugel reopened the investigation, this time with more transparency, allowing camera crews to film a series of television documentaries. These recent studies have revealed even more anomalous activity, including radiation spikes, mobile phone interference, and phenomena that affect the health and psychology of the team. One scientist was hospitalized after a mysterious force caused swelling in his brain. Another had GPS devices go haywire while drones flew in precise loops, without any command to do so. What makes Skinwalker Ranch so unique is the variety of phenomena. It is not just a UFO hotspot. It is not just a site of cryptid sightings. It is not just a place of psychic disturbances or technological anomalies. It is all of them, layered, overlapping, and persistent. This suggests, to me, something deeper, something dimensional. One of the most compelling theories is that the ranch sits on a gateway or interdimensional rift, a kind of cosmic weak spot in the fabric of our reality. Researchers like Jacques Vallée, known for his work on UFOs and the interdimensional hypothesis, have long argued that these phenomena are not extraterrestrial in the classic sense, but rather ultra-terrestrial, manifestations from realms that exist alongside ours, bleeding through at certain times and places. John Keel, the famed investigator of the Mothman case, described this kind of place as a window area, where different layers of reality interact. He believed that beings from other dimensions could appear, not as flesh and blood creatures, but as projections, symbols, distortions, reacting to human perception. The evidence at Skinwalker Ranch seems to support this view. Why the spot? Why this ranch? The answer may be lost in history, buried beneath layers of indigenous legend, government interest, and modern media. But the activity continues to this day. What is the Skinwalker Ranch? A military testing ground? A cursed land? A mirror reflecting our subconscious fears? Or is it something far more profound? A door to the unknown? We may never fully understand what is happening there. But as long as the lights keep appearing, as long as the ground keeps shaking without cause, as long as visitors feel watched by unseen eyes, we must keep investigating. Because to ignore the strange is to close ourselves off from the greater truth. And here at Investigations of the Unknown, we choose to look deeper. Until next time, keep your senses sharp and beware the places where the veil grows thin.